There's a big man alert from the Washington Football Talk podcast. It's Mitch Tischler. How you doing, big fella?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Not exactly the results we were hoping for yesterday. The four-game win streak comes to an end with a 2015 loss to Seattle. Some good things to take, some bad things to take. Let's start with the quarterback. What'd you think?
I thought he played poorly in the first half, which I think was pretty obvious. He had a really bad interception. But I think we saw a lot from Dwayne, the same that we've seen from Alex all year. A poor start in the first half, and they were able to come back in the second half and play better. You need Dwayne, you need the quarterback position to play better, period, across the board. It's been an issue, particularly in the first half all year. But I mean, the way Dwayne bounced back and played in that fourth quarter, I mean, he led him on 3 scoring drives, and he put him in a position where had Dustin Hopkins made his extra point earlier in the game, that they would have had an opportunity to kick a game-tying field goal. The game probably would have gone to overtime, and we would have seen what would have happened then. So I look at the positive side of things generally. I mean, they don't call me bullish for nothing, but I like the way Dwayne played in the fourth quarter, and I think that it can give you some hope that if he's forced into action against Carolina, against Philly, or in a potential playoff game, that he might be able to lead this team to victory.
It was odd because the week before, Ron had mentioned that if they needed 11 to come back in the game, he could have done so. Seems like that might have been coach speak because we're not even sure that he'll be ready for next week. So I'd ask, is it more important to have Alex Smith back next week, or is it more important to have Antonio Gibson back next week?
That's an interesting question. I think Alex Smith is more important because right now I think even if the statistics don't bet out the rest of the season, I think that just the confidence that he installs in that offense and honestly the team overall, I think matters more than anything else. J.D. McKissic has done a really good job, filling in. He had, I think, 57 yards rushing yesterday, and he's been a little bit of a slasher. He's been a little bit better out of the backfield than I think we expected. The team signing Lamar Miller off the Bears practice squad, he'll be able to be at practice this week and be active this weekend, leads me to believe that Antonio Gibson might be a little bit further away than we think. But honestly, both of those weapons on offense are the guys that you need to make this team move. And if you really want a chance to do something come playoff time, they're going to need both Alex and Antonio back there to help move the ball.
Logan Thomas, first time over 100 yards. He's been incredible. The improvement he's made this season, nothing short of astonishing. I can't really remember the last time I saw such a. Put it like this: I didn't see where he's ended up from where he started. Put it like that.
Yeah, I think he's been a little bit of a surprise for everybody. There was some success during training camp that we talked about, and Dwayne was doing a good job, and Kyle Allen were doing a good job of hitting him down some seam routes and some out routes. And as we watched it, I was a little bit not sure whether that was good tight end play or poor safety / linebacker play. This is talking about training camp. And when he came out early in the season and was largely ineffective, and then you saw what we got out of Troy Apke when he was on the field, I think you got a little bit of a feeling that maybe, Logan isn't going to be that tight end that you can rely on, especially if we're going to look beyond 2020. But man, he made a big turnaround, and he's been a difference maker for this offense. And he had 13 catches yesterday, Sunday, against the Seahawks, one shy of the franchise record, which was Roy Halou a few years ago. I mean, Dwayne had his guy, and Dwayne was looking his way. And when he was in a spot and had to get rid of the ball, Logan was his bailout. And I think it's great to see. And Logan certainly is cementing himself as a productive member of this offense beyond just 2020. I mean, give me Logan next year, and I'm happy if you can pair him with a Jordan Reed-esque, a super athletic tight end hybrid guy, and you can see Scott Turner run some of those 2 tight end offenses that he likes to run and get those guys out there. And it's exciting to think what they might be able to do on this offense.
They asked Dwayne to be in passing plays 63 times, I think I saw, to 17 runs. Not exactly sure that was Scott Turner's best idea for getting a young guy who hadn't had a whole lot of opportunities into the game plan. Your thoughts on that?
I think it was a little bit more the way the game played out. they were able to keep it pretty close in the first quarter, honestly, in the first half altogether. And Dwayne not throwing that bad pick in the first half, then I think they would have been able to stick with the run a little bit more. But they also didn't. I don't think they wanted to grind down J.D. McKissick and Peyton Barber, or J.D. McKissick that much. And Peyton Barber wasn't particularly effective. I think he had 5 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And I think we saw a lot when Alex was at quarterback. And I think this is kind of a Scott Turner thing, that the short passing game is just an extension of the run game. So those passing numbers look pretty high. But I think when you look at, a lot of those passes to Logan Thomas were 2-3 yard outs, quick little hits. And those are passing plays, but they're really an extension of the run game. And to me, I kind of, don't get caught up in the actual percentages of pass versus run, because they have the same effect on a defense in terms of sucking up linebackers, sucking up safeties, having guys playing closer to the line of scrimmage. So hopefully you're able to hit some of those deep balls like they did to Terry McLaurin on the outside on the right end side, on the right hash. And they had a ball to J.D. McKissick down the left side that Dwayne made a good throw, and McKissick would have had to make a great catch for it. But had Dwayne made a very good throw, it could have been a touchdown play. So I think that the breakdown of pass run doesn't bother me as much when you look at what a lot of those pass plays were.
Should Morgan Moses have been in on that last sack?
No. I mean, I'm as big a Morgan Moses supporter as there is, because that guy has been nothing but a star for this offensive line, not just on the field, but also in the locker room, and playing left side, playing the right side, doing everything that's being asked of him. Clearly he wasn't right on that certainly the second to last play of the game. You could tell that he wasn't right. He got bull rushed and just got knocked over. And for all the jokes about all the penalties that Morgan takes over the years or whatever, he's been a pretty staunch pass blocker, since he's come to DC, and clearly he's a better player than he showed there. And it's tough because you're a veteran, and he wants to be there for his guys, and he's the man on the offensive line, and he wants to be the man. So, it's tough, especially athletes have that competitive mentality. But I think when you see what the results were, I think he probably shouldn't have been out there.
And to his credit, he's been fantastic this year. I mean, bounce back. I mean, much better than, I think, to your point, the penalties sometimes get people frustrated and thought he didn't have a great season last year. Whatever you thought about last year, he's been great this year. That's coach's decision on letting him back in the game, or you think that's a guy that put his helmet on there and just ran out there before anybody could tell him not to?
I think it's both. I think when a veteran comes to you and says, I'm good to play, to a coach, when a veteran comes to you and says, hey, my knee, my ankle, whatever it was, is good, I can be out there, coaches don't think twice. You trust a guy like Morgan to know his body well enough, and, to think that he's, good enough to go, you send him back out there.
Ron has not had a problem moving on from guys this year. He's shown that. He's been right more than he's not. He refuses to move on from Dustin Hopkins. That an missed extra point is tough. I get it, but boy, that thing really puts you in a bad spot. Curious your thoughts on replacing a kicker. Does it actually do you any good? It's odd that he's not had a problem sticking with Dustin, not even thought about bringing in competition.
Yeah, it's tough with Dustin. I mean, prior to the Seahawks game, the past 5 games, he was the highest scoring kicker in the NFL. So he had a good little run there. That missed extra point was enormous. And I guess, I don't want to say that the Seahawks game didn't matter, because obviously every game matters. But at the end of the day, the Giants also lost. The Eagles lost. They still control their own destiny in the division. But come playoffs, you can't be missing those kicks. But Dustin has been such a big part of this team for a while, and he's got such a strong leg. I don't know what the answer is. I know he's been dealing with an injury most of the season. You hope that's what the issue is. I don't really have an answer for that. I think it's tough. I don't think at week 15 or 16 you can move on from him. I think he's here for the year. And I think especially because of the COVID situation, it's tough to bring in kickers for competition on a Tuesday or something or along those lines. So I think in a regular season, they might have brought somebody in earlier in the year for competition and seeing if maybe that was a better fit. But with the COVID protocols the way they are, that makes it super tough to do. I think he's the kicker for this year, and I think that's something that they're certainly going to evaluate in the offseason and figure out whether he's the right guy moving forward.
It's incredible how good Terry McLaurin is, that when he misses a 50-50 ball, we're all very, I can't believe it. But he's been incredible no matter who throws the ball to him. It's really a testament to his work habits, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I always go back to the years with Kirk at quarterback here in DC, and he would put up a lot of these gaudy numbers, and his completion percentage was super high, but he never gave receivers 50-50 balls downfield. He would only throw the ball downfield when he had a guy wide open, and there was so much frustration with that. And who knows with some of the other guys, Josh Doxson and others, how things would have turned out if maybe they had a few other opportunities catching those 50-50 balls and got a little confidence, moving that direction. There's no question with Terry McLaurin. I mean, Terry has confidence in all those 50-50 balls, but he gives the quarterbacks confidence to throw the ball downfield. And that's a huge thing for this offense. I mean, even when Alex was in there was all this talk about check down Charlie, and all he does is throw to the running backs and the tight ends and this and that. But having Terry out there opens up the depth of that the defense has to play by moving back on him and having to control him. And I've been yelling about it since week one. Anytime you see Terry in one-on-one coverage, I don't care what the route is that's called, the ball needs to go to him. If it's a passing play, the ball's got to go to Terry, whether it's a slant, a curl, a go, whatever you want to call it. If he's in one-on-one coverage, you got to throw him the ball because he's the best player on the football field most times.
There's no doubt about it. I was thinking back to when you and I talked before the season started. We had mixed feelings on Darby. He's been incredible. I mean, they're going to have to give him another contract, right?
Yeah, I mean, the corner play in general has been much better than expected. And honestly, since they got rid of Troy Apke and Landon Collins got hurt, the secondary play overall has been exceptional compared to what we expected. I mean, Cam Curl stepped in and played well, and it's been impressive to see. Darby's biggest issue before coming here was staying healthy, was injuries, and he's been able to stay healthy, and he's balled out there on the outside.
Jeremy Reeves and Cam Curl stepped right in. It's really amazing. The team is so well coached. I know we talked about that briefly a couple of minutes ago, but I mean, just really amazing at how well they've been able to get the young guys in and acclimated. I mean, Kaliki Hudson played a ton yesterday, and you'd have never known that he really hadn't played any major minutes on the field.
Yeah, I mean, this coaching staff did a great job, not just in getting the young guys up and ready to play, and I give the front office, A on the draft grades just because they keep bringing in guys in mid to late rounds who make a difference. Antonio Gibson and Cam Curl especially, but also a guy like James Smith-Williams who's been, a special teams, show off. He's a dream for a special teams coach because he's got that big body and he's fast and able to move, and he's even started to get some reps in with the defensive line as they've been moving. They've done a really good job of not just drafting guys, but bringing them in and putting them in positions to win. And I give Ron a lot of credit for that because that's what he talked about was, getting guys, changing the culture and getting guys to learn how to win, and learning how to win is playing well in the field, and they're getting opportunities and they're showing out.
Yeah, the NC State folks said that the problem with Smith-Williams was not Smith-Williams. He's the hype speed weight guy that you want. He couldn't stay healthy the last year and a half. So yeah, I know the team was excited about having him. It seems like it's been a while since we've had a group here that was so easy to root for. This seems like a team that is easy to root for. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it's just the attitude Chase Young has brought, but they feel like it's an easy team to root for. Have you felt that?
Yeah, I think it's two things. I think it's an easy team to root for. I think for the most part, you can see the guys having fun out there. Winning, helps all that a lot as we've seen over the years. I think the other part of it is it's just you can see that I think in the past couple of playoff runs that the team has had, if you go back to 2016, the Kirk Cousins contract was, hanging over everyone's head. In 2012, it was all dependent on Robert Griffin III. This year, you're seeing guys at almost every different position contributing, and guys who are on rookie contracts and are going to be here for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And so I think that as you're watching this team, whatever happens this year as far as the playoffs go or whatever else, you're seeing a team that's growing and is being built the way the teams need to be built to win in the NFL now. And I think that's exciting for fans. And I think it's something that you can really get behind because, fans have, jump back and forth with what player's jersey do I get? Who do I get on this team? Who can I root for? And now you got a couple guys. You got Terry McLaurin, you got Antonio Gibson, you got Chase Young, you got Montez Sweat. I mean, there are superstars on both sides of the ball who are on rookie contracts here for a few more years, and that's exciting.
To your point, when was the last time that Washington had several players that other teams would actually covet?
Yeah, I mean, it's been some time. I mean, I think you'd have to go back to the Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garcon, Kirk Cousins teams, and even that is, maybe a little dubious as far as we go. But I think it's also the balance of having it on both sides of the ball. For years, the defense was good, the offense was terrible. Then the offense was good, but the defense was terrible. Now you got a little bit of both going right now, and it's exciting, and you're really seeing what Ron early on. You're seeing what Ron Rivera is trying to build here in DC.
The secondary was fantastic yesterday. I think they held their two receivers to 77 yards combined, which is, I'm not sure that it's been done for those two yet this season. Running game was the problem for Washington. They were short on linebackers. You think that's what the reason was there?
Yes, I think certainly having their full slate of linebackers would have helped a lot. I think when you look at an offensive juggernaut like the Seahawks, you somewhat pick and choose what you're going to stop, because you're probably not going to be able to stop the entire team. And I think that you look at the overall picture, and the Seahawks scored 20 points.
Okay.
That's not a particularly big showing. Russ Wilson only threw for $120 or so. I mean, if they're going to gouge you on the ground and you're able to keep the game close that way, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. But I think that they certainly learned something from it. I mean, that you look at, the potential of having to play them again in 3 weeks at FedEx Field again. You might not want to show too much on defense, too many exotic looks, too many blitzes, too many different things, because that you might have to see them again. And I think that on both sides of the ball, I think you saw that the Seahawks didn't come in with a particularly exotic game plan on offense. And I think you saw the same thing with Washington's defense. I think it was a little bit of a cat and mouse game between Pete Carroll and Ron Rivera there.
Is Trading Places or Edward Scissorhands Christmas movies?
Trading Places is absolutely a Christmas movie.
And
Edward
a top 5
Scissorhands?
movie, period.
What's that?
And a top 5 movie, period.
It's spectacular. I love that movie so much. Edward Scissorhands, yeah. You know what? I have a broad lane for Christmas movies. If it happens anytime in December, if it has anything to do with the holidays, I usher all that together as a Christmas movie.
And do you have any plans for the holidays? You traveling?
Washington's got a game on Sunday for the actual holidays. My family lives rather close. We'll probably get together and have dinner or hang out a little bit and celebrate that way.
What is the go-to for Christmas dinner?
I'm a turkey man. I know this is such a big argument, especially around Thanksgiving, but I'm a turkey man, so I go with turkey.
I'm sure we all had expected before the season started that we'd be right here heading to Carolina for a division win, but yet here we are. What's what we got to do to get this one this weekend, Mitch?
I think they got to play their game. I mean, I think they need to find a way to. I think it's not just about winning this week, but also starting to build towards that playoff game and the potential playoff game in 3 weeks. I think they got to find a way to. It's going to be week 16 of the season. They got to find a way to come out and play better in the first half and get the offense moving earlier. I think that the defense is what it is, and we know how dominant they can be, but you're just not going to be able to rely on them for 2 scores a game to win a game like they did against San Francisco. So it's going to be about building and trying to get that offense moving quicker and score some more points and not play from that double-digit deficit that they've done so many times this year.
Mitch, thank you for always being so generous with your time. I know you got a meeting to run to, so happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all that. And thank you for coming on today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Happy holidays.
All right, let's see. This thing is so hard for me to get to.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, thank you.
Catch you later.